Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. Here we're going through the Week 10 Sunday games, so let's get into the next preview. Getting into a divisional matchup here, we have Buffalo at Miami, where Buffalo is favored on the money line with a spread of 9.5 and a total line of 50.5 points. We'll just move this over to the averages and look at their rankings. With Buffalo having pretty good rankings overall, starting off with Buffalo's rankings, you have a scoring rank of 3 and an allowed scoring rank of 9, so they're pretty good at scoring and pretty good at stopping their opponents from scoring. They also have an allowed passing rank of 2. They do fall short with a allowed rushing rank of 28, so they're very good at stopping the pass, but not very good at stopping the rush. But they do have a rushing rank of 1, so they're best in the league at average rushing yards per game, and a much better tight end rank than their average passing rank would suggest. With Miami, you have much worse numbers across the board. Offensively, it's bottom third for offense with 25, 24, 26. An allowed scoring rank of 24 and an allowed rushing rank of 30 is pretty bad too. The one thing that they have going for them is their allowed passing rank is 9, so they can stop the pass somewhat, but definitely not against tight ends, which is 28. That's a big discrepancy in those numbers. Looking at the quarterbacks for this game, you have Josh Allen and Tua, where Josh Allen has an average of 23.2 fantasy points per game, and Tua averages 12.6. Josh Allen has 4 passing interceptions this season, with 1 rushing fumble as well, and Tua has 11 passing interceptions this season, with 1 sack fumble loss as well. If we look at their averages, as well as their weekly breakdowns and their carry share, we can see that Josh Allen has a pretty big impact on the rushing game, with 22.3% of the team's carries. And over here, it's very much the opposite with Tua, having a very small share of something like maybe 4 or 5%. And then getting into the running backs with James Cook and Devontae Achane. Cook averages 18.9 fantasy points per game, while Achane has averaged 19.2. Between the two of them, they've had no fumbles that they've actually lost this season. So we'll switch over to the averages and look at their carry share, with James Cook getting 62% of the team's total carry share, with not much of that going to any of the backups here. And over here on Miami, Achane gets about 62.3% of the team's total carry share, with the next largest going to Ollie Gordon at 20.6%. Next up, you have your number 1 receivers with Keon Coleman and Jalen Waddle. Coleman has averaged 8.5 fantasy points per game this season, and Waddle has averaged 13.8, with the only turnover coming from Coleman as 1 receiving fumble loss. We'll go into the averages then and look at the receiving share, with Keon Coleman averaging 15% of the team's total receiving share. That's a little small for being the number 1 receiver, with a couple other people beating him out for the largest share. And Jalen Waddle over here having 31.9% of the team's total receiving share. That is the largest of anybody else on the team as well. And with our number 2 receivers, you have Khalil Shakir and Malik Washington. Shakir averages about 12 fantasy points per game this season, and Malik Washington averaging about 7.1, with the only turnover coming from Malik Washington as a rushing fumble. We'll go into their averages and look at their share of receiving yards. You have Shakir getting 21.1% of the team's total receiving share, which is just short of the largest of anybody else on the team. And over here on Miami with Malik Washington, unfortunately it cut off, but I think that's about that 12 or 13% of the team's share. And then, as always, ending with the tight ends, you have Dalton Kincaid and Julian Hill, because Darren Waller is listed as out. So Dalton Kincaid averages 13.1 fantasy points per game, and Julian Hill has averaged 3.3. With no turnovers, we'll go with the averages. And down here with Dalton Kincaid, he gets about 21.8% of the team's total receiving share, which is the largest of anybody on the team. So he is the number 1 receiver, technically, based on the team's receiving share. And over here with Miami, Julian Hill gets very little, with about 4.2% of the team's total receiving share. So the numbers in this game would really suggest that it goes to Buffalo. They have the better scoring rank over a team that's not very good at stopping their opponents, and Buffalo's pretty good at stopping their opponents against a team that's not very good at scoring. I'd also say that they could shred them up in this tight end department, as well as rushing. So lots of places where Buffalo can fill in if Miami actually ends up shutting down the passing game. So it would seem like Buffalo should have this one pretty handily, but that's just what the numbers would suggest. So that's all I have for this game today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment on what else you might want to see in the future. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.